In this video I'll be talking about how I upgraded my system uh, from this build to this build. So the old build that you are seeing here, I made it in 2017. It's a 6th generation build. The CPU is 6th generation, from 6th generation to 12th generation. So in 2022 I made this build, and it still applies to today 2023 if you want to. So this guide is basically for the budget builders who are specifically looking to upgrade their performance from their old systems, especially like if they have a 1060 or an RX 580 570, then I highly suggest you to look at my build and take notes from it. So I am mostly performance oriented. As you can see, the motherboard here, it's a very basic motherboard. My focus is mostly on the CPU and the GPU, because these are the two most important things which give you the most boost, and all of the other things are there so that they can run at their maximum extent, not maximum but a very good extent. So you don't actually need a very good case, you need an adequate power supply. 500 was enough for that time. This motherboard supported up to 2400 I think, but somehow I got 2100, and this is for storage and games. This is at that time there was a SATA hard disk drive, SATA SSD drive. So and the SSD were pretty much expensive at that time, and this GPU, this was actually my first PC build, and I was very happy with this, if I must say it. And this CPU is a 4 core CPU, which performed, I would say, pretty good in the regular task. In gaming, it was a pretty good match for the GPU that it is mentioned over here. So why did I actually upgrade it from my old build to the new build? Well, obviously, as the new games come, the old GPU cannot run these games very fine. So both of my monitors are 1080p. Okay, and now the games were like Resident Evil 4 remake or God of War or any other new game, they cannot run at 1080p high detail. So I was getting 30 or 40 FPS with this old build, so I decided why not upgrade it. Okay, so I jumped from 6th generation to 12th generation. The 12th generation is a very good CPU, recommended by most channels, and it has 6 core 12 threads, very adequate for my needs. And as you can see, the motherboard I have to upgrade, obviously, because 12th generation, I cannot use this one for my 12th generation, so I stick with the same motherboard. I always use the entry level thing. Now you must say, why not use a B660 motherboard? Well, that's because, as I said before, my focus is always on the GPU and the CPU. So this was the same case before. So I've been running this system for 1 year, almost 1 year now. I have never had problem with this motherboard actually. And if you don't really have the need, and you can see there are other H610 motherboard as well, if the connector suits you, then you really don't need anything better than that, because the performance, if you use the same connectors on the B660 motherboard, the performance increase will be very little. So why not just use an entry motherboard? You just have to take good care of it, that's all. And then the SSD drive, first of all, this was a SATA SSD, so I upgraded from SATA to NVMe M.2, and with a higher storage space. so I can store some games in it. Also, before I was not able to store any of my games. It was just used for C drive. And then this is the same. I actually added one more hard disk, but the hard disks are just for data storage. And the next one, obviously I do not want to run old RAMs, and now I use 3200 megahertz DDR4 instead of 2100, so that's better as well. And this is a little bit controversial. So when I went to the store, I talked about the PSU upgrade. So they looked at the graphic card specifically, and they said that the connectors, it's only 6 pins. So it's not like this 1060 using 4 pins, this is using 6 pins. They said that 500 watt is enough for this build. So I said, okay, why should I waste my money and get a better PSU? And honestly, I've been running this build for 1 year now, and there has never been any issue. And obviously the case is the same as well. I never had any issue with it. It's just a basic entry level case, and the temperatures are fine as well. So now I want to share with you this. So this is just for reference. I want to show you how much of an upgrade I actually got out from it. So this is my old build with these stats. As you can see, they're not very good stats. These are all of my, I stored it in my history, and then after I upgraded it, so as you can see, the result is very good. So you can see the gaming is better, the desktop is better, workstation, all of them are better. And all of these things that you are seeing here, I bought all of them. I bought new condition. I don't buy used ones. So overall, I would say I'm pretty happy with it. But one thing I want to add is that if you are actually happy with your old build, there is no need for you to upgrade to a newer build. Because if you are playing very basic games like Dota or CSGO or any basic one, then it's fine to stick to your old build. I've seen that case, like you're just seeing the good your friends builds and you're getting jealous and stuff. So I don't want you to get jealous and stop looking at social media or stop looking at videos, upgrade videos and what's new in the market. If something is very like you want really a good performance increase, only then you should look for an upgrade, not to satisfy your ego. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention was the reason behind the upgrade from this GPU to this GPU. So why I upgraded to a 6600 XT. So there were other options as well, like the 3060 and 3060 Ti, but I did not go to the Nvidia route this time, simply because the prices of 3060 at my place were high. Even though now if you are going to buy it now, I would suggest you to buy a 3060 instead of 6600 XT, just because it has more VRAM. Okay, so 12 GB VRAM is better than the 8 GB now, because the game demands you to have a very high VRAM. And this was a last year build, so I would not say that this is a completely obsolete build. It's a very good GPU, because 6600 is very cheaper than in most countries, right? And it really at the 1080p high settings, you can run almost any game perfectly fine with this combo. And the reason I haven't mentioned the prices is because every country price is different, so you have to find out. I've just given you a basic guideline of if you are my type of category, in my type of category, and you want to upgrade. So I hope this video was helpful to you, and we'll see you in the next time.